Hey Honey Badgers, Chappie here with Sergeant Cody Buffington, and today's hashtag adulting in 60 days word of the day is turn your setback into a comeback. If you got a chance to read the post, you saw my thoughts a little bit about what it looks like to turn your setback into a comeback, and I thought I'd bring Cody on board today in order to chat a little bit about his goals and the setback that he's experienced and the comeback that he's looking to make here. So Cody, tell us a little bit about what your goals were when you came on deployment here.
Well, for me and my wife, we saw the deployment as a great opportunity to pay off some credit card debt. Our personal goal was $20,000.
20 grand. Okay, so you started making a lot of headway on that the first month and a half, and then right about, I don't know, week 6 or 7 on this deployment, what happened?
I think April 6th, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had several missed phone calls and probably 15 or 20 text messages from different family members telling me to call them back, and I found out that my mother had passed away.
So let's pause here for a minute. So your mom, tell me about your mom. How old was she, and what were the circumstances around her death?
She was 59 years old. She had been suffering numerous ailments to include diabetes, hepatitis C, and kidney failure, which was a recent diagnosis within the last couple of years. Which kind of was the end-all be-all.
Yeah.
So without a kidney transplant, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. So after you found out about that news, what additional news did you find out with regards to the financial part of all that?
Well, I sat in front of the funeral home and we discussed all the expenses that was going to incur. I had actually spoken with my mother previously just because she kind of knew that her time was coming up. And I sat down and I talked with her, and I asked her, I said, you know, what do you want to do in case this happens?
So before you left,
right?
You asked her, yeah.
And she said she wanted to be cremated and she wanted to be buried with her son, my brother, who had passed away when I was 11 in a car accident. She wanted to be buried in his grave.
Yeah.
So we sat down with the funeral home and discussed the options. It was roughly going to be about $6,000 to have that, have all that done.
So you came out here with the goal of paying off 20 grand in debt. You started making headway. I think you told me you got around 4 or 5 grand chipping away at it. And then this happens, and then it cost you 6 grand to do all this. So you tell the story what happened next in terms of how some of those costs were offset so that it wasn't a huge setback for you.
Well, we had discussed with the family members, and everybody had pretty much agreed that financially they were not in a place to really make any progress towards paying the funeral expenses. And I had briefly expressed it to somebody, or maybe somebody had overheard it. And the next thing I knew, somebody in the unit had set up a GoFundMe account for the unit to try and chip in and maybe help offset some of the funeral expenses.
Yeah.
I was very shocked, very overwhelmed, very surprised, and then the outcome was overwhelming. It was amazing. I honestly, never expected the show of support and love that from the unit, which is part of the reason why I'm in the military, because it's
because you're a transfer in from another unit to us.
Correct.
Yeah, so you're not even organic to us.
Right. So I've only known these guys for a couple of months, and when I found out somebody had set up the GoFundMe account, Sergeant Audie, thank you so much. I honestly wasn't expecting much, and each day we sat there and watched it grow and grow, and today it's almost at $3,000.
Wow, so half of what it's going to cost to finish all the burial stuff.
Correct.
So let me ask you this, Cody. So how do you plan for the remainder of this deployment to turn that setback into a comeback with respect to your financial goals?
Well, we had to tighten the budget a little bit. A lot of things that we had plans on working on the house. We just bought a house, and a lot of the stuff that we were working on we had to pretty much cancel or set back for a later day. And then also working with her family members to try and get some additional support for the funeral expenses as well. It was a tough lesson learned. Unfortunately, there's no funeral that's not expensive.
Yeah.
and to have to go through this pretty much by myself was extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Considering I've got 6 brothers and sisters, and none of them were able to really help chip in just because of their personal financial situations as well.
Yeah. So your wife's name is Jessica, right?
Correct.
So what are you and Jessica going to do over the next several months in order to get back on track and then to reach the goal?
Well, we had to recreate a budget and kind of redefine how much money we were willing to put towards credit cards and stuff. Obviously kind of slimmed down a little bit, and then really just focus on the funeral expenses.
Yeah.
So
if I could interrupt, then essentially turning the setback into a comeback then looks like pausing where you're at, not panicking. I'm kind of making this up here from what I've heard, but, pause, don't panic, and then plan again.
Correct.
So maybe those might even be the 3 Ps if you're looking to turn a setback into a comeback. Hey, I'm a chaplain. What I do, everything starts with the same letter. So,
Absolutely.
So pause, and then don't panic, and then plan again. So don't let the setback destroy the whole goal that you had to begin with. So.
Absolutely. And like I said, it was very overwhelming. The amount of support that I received, like I said, from a unit that I barely even knew. So many people came together. And it wasn't just financially, it was a kind word, a hug,
yeah.
Cards. I got more cards I know what to do with, and just across the board, which is part of the reason, like I said, that I love the military so much, because you don't really have to know these people that well to be able to show that love and support. We've all been through it.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of have an understanding of what we're dealing with, in some form or fashion.
So you might even conclude then that turning the setback into a comeback takes other people as well.
Absolutely.
Trying to do it by yourself probably wouldn't have worked very well.
No.
It was surrounding yourself with people you can count on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Cody, I appreciate you sharing the story today, and Honey Badgers and family back home. I hope this is encouraging to you, even amid all this COVID-19 stuff. If you've experienced some kind of a setback in the middle of all this, then don't let it get you down. Pause where you're at. Don't panic. Plan again and turn it into a comeback.
Absolutely.
So this is Chappie and Cody signing out.